Okay, so now we are moving to lab number 2 of AI 102. And now in this case, we are actually going to focus on developing AI agent using code. Now, obviously, when I'm saying that using code, some people will get scared that, oh my God, now it's the time we have to install so many things in our lab computer. Well, actually, it's not. I have explained certain lab environment configurations in my previous videos. But in this video, we are still not going to use it. I am going to show you one shortcut way to write a code for your AI agents, and you can actually use Azure Portal and the Cloud Shell for that actually. So basically, you don't need to have a Visual Studio Code also installed in your local computer. You don't need to have an installation of Azure CLI. You can directly write a simple application agent code inside Azure Portal itself. And yes, I'm not talking about code space or any other thing. It's straightforward and simple. Let me show you that thing and let's create another agent. So as you can see right now, I have 3 tabs open in my computer. I have Azure Portal in one tab. I have Azure AI Foundry in another tab, in which I have already created one project, which I have actually created in the previous video. And I do not have any agents as of now. Actually, if I refresh this, I am going to have maybe one default agent, which is going to be appear here. Or I think that is also something which I've deleted, so it's not there right now. So I just have agent section empty. I do not have any agent from my side. And I have this particular link, which is a lab link. You will find this link in the video description or in the video details actually. But this is a link which is actually focusing on lab number 2 of AI 102. In this, we are going to develop an AI agent. And when we are developing this AI agent, we are going to use in-browser capability. Basically, I'm going to use my Cloud Shell of this particular Azure portal. I hope you know that we have a Cloud Shell which is available here using this particular button, which is on the right top corner. When you click on this, this is basically going to open a separate section in the bottom bar of this particular portal. And it's actually right now, in my case, loading directly in the PowerShell. Now, we are going to use this particular Cloud Shell and we are going to customize certain things with this. So I'll show you that part. But as of now, this is opening in PowerShell. If I want to switch to Bash, all I need to do is I just have to click on this. And if I want to really work with this ease, I can just increase the height of this like this. So we can work with this easily. So this is fine. Let me go back to my lab instruction page. And if you see here, this is showing you that in this exercise, you'll use an AI agent service to create a simple agent that analyze data and create chart. Now this time the goal is different. It's not an expense agent, but this time assume that we are going to provide some data, and based on that, this agent is going to create a chart. Now this agent can use a built-in code interpreter tool. So we are still going to use the same tool which we have used in the previous lab, but this time we're going to use it with the code. That's the difference. And then it's going to help you to dynamically generate any code which is required to analyze data. And that's what code interpreter can do very well. Let's start with this. Initial few steps I have already done, which are same in the common steps. So I went to my Azure AI Foundry portal. I have created a new project in the specific resource group and subscription. And then I have also deployed GPT-4o model. And that's something which I've done in my previous video also. So it's a repeated step. I'm not going to repeat that thing. But now, once you're done with this and once you have GPT-4o model deployed, this is the time you're going to create an agent client app. So basically, I want to create an application, and using that application, I'm going to develop this agent. Okay. Remember, guys, this is not a very preferable way to use a Cloud Shell, but this is one of the way for those people who do not have any rights to install Visual Studio Code or other tools in their computers. So if you do not have this kind of rights or permissions to install certain softwares in your computer because it's your office laptop or something like that, you can use this way. Otherwise, I always prefer Visual Studio Code, and developing with Visual Studio Code is going to be much easier and suitable way for most developers. But let's see how we can do this thing because it's an official lab. So first it is asking me, you go to portal.azure.com. Inside that you open the Cloud Shell button. I already did this thing. I showed you this is a button. Okay. And then it is showing me that you make sure that you're going to choose PowerShell environment with no storage with your subscription. Now I already did this thing. So it's showing me the PowerShell environment. This is the PowerShell environment, and it's showing me my prompt also. PS prompt is visible there. So I'm all good. In this particular Cloud Shell toolbar, you can go to the settings menu and then select go to classic version. Now this is required to use the code editor. There is a code editor tool which is available with the Cloud Shell. And if you want to use that thing, you cannot use the newer one. You can actually go to the classic version of this thing. So let me check one thing first here, that I'm right now inside this particular PowerShell. And if you check here, I have help section, I have settings section, and here I have an option for go to classic version. So I'm going into settings and I'm saying go to classic version. When I do this, it's just going to be switching to the classic version of the PowerShell, which is an older version, but yeah, this is the one which is having code editor available inside this. It's going to load the Cloud Shell once again, and I got the PS prompt once again. So this is something which is done. Make sure you take care of this. Sometimes people forget to move to the classic version, and because of that, they are not able to get the code editor. Okay. Next, in the Cloud Shell, they're asking me to execute this command. So if I have any particular agents, AI agent kind of a directory, I'm going to remove it. And then I'm going to clone one repository. Now let me just take the repository first. If I copy this and if I paste it here, this is actually a repository where Microsoft is sharing some sample configurational code. So if I go into this lab files and if I go into the lab number 2, which is actually this one, it's actually showing me some kind of a code associations with that. Some data.txt, some agent.python, and some requirement.txt. This is something which is available inside this particular repository. So I'm going to use this, and that's why I'm just going to copy this command and I'll paste it here. Right click and paste. Remember, Control V will not work in the Cloud Shell. You just right click, paste, and hit enter. It's cloning the repository, and within a second it's done. It's showing me cloning the object, 100% done. And if this is done, then it means this repository files, which I was showing you in this browser, is actually now copied into this. If that is the case, the next thing they're saying is you go to a specific directory, which is 02 build an AI agent and Python. You can see in this also I'm showing you that same folder. Okay, so I am just going to copy this, and as usual I'm going to paste it here, and then they are showing me a list of the files. So I can see that agents.py, data.txt, environment, and requirement.txt, the same files I'm showing you here, is actually visible in my Cloud Shell as well, because I have just done the list of that. So I'm in the right folder, I have cloned the repository, and now this is the time I can actually focus on my development. And that's what they're saying, configure your application settings first. Now remember, when we are going to do this thing, we need to have an agent configured, we need to have an agent project configured, and then using that configurational files only, you'll be able to customize it here. So let me just execute this command, which is basically going to configure a Python environment, and it's going to do pip install. I hope you know pip install is basically helping you to install the library configurational files with that. Now we have this particular command, so I'm just going to execute this. It's going to configure the Python lab environment first, then it's going to activate the PowerShell script with that, and finally it's going to do pip install, which is basically going to follow the requirement.txt file. So basically, if I show you requirement.txt file, this is just having two things inside that: the Python.NET environment and the Azure identity. These two packages from Python is going to be required in order to develop this thing. And you can see right now, it has actually installed all these things. So they have done downloading of this thing, and it's now showing me successfully installed with all these things which are required. So basically, all the dependencies of this particular application code is successfully downloaded using pip install command, which we have executed using this. Once pip install is done, now it's a time we have to customize and configure our application. For that, the editor is going to help me. So I'm going to execute this command, which is code, and then I'm going to specify the file name, which is .env. .env is a file which is available in this, which we have seen when we have done the ls command with this. So I'm just going to say I want to write and edit that particular file. So I'm just going to say code.env, and you can see this is showing me an in-browser editor. This is an in-browser editor where I can actually modify these files into this. So I have a project endpoint and model endpoint kind of two configurational key value pairs here. The values are dummy placeholders right now. So this is showing me that I have to put my project endpoint in this. I'm going into my Azure AI Foundry portal. Inside Azure AI Foundry portal, in the overview tab in the left side, you will get something which is actually your Azure AI Foundry project endpoint. Remember guys, there are multiple endpoints which are available here. you have project endpoint, as well as you have something which is OpenAI and AI service endpoints also available here if you click on these things. We do not want OpenAI endpoint right now. We want Azure AI Foundry project endpoint. So I'm just copying this particular endpoint and I'm going back to my editor, which is here, and I'm going to paste it here. So this is basically now connecting to my project endpoint, and my model deployment name is GPT-4o only, so I don't need to change it. Still, if you want to cross-check which one is your model deployment name, in the left side column, you can click on model plus endpoint, and this is going to show you the name of your deployed model. For me, my deployed model is GPT-4o. So this is perfect. I don't need to change it. This is GPT-4o only. Remember, when you are doing the in-browser editing, this white dot, which is visible here, is actually showing you that this file is not saved. So you have to do Control S, and it's going to save that file. You can see now the white dot is gone, so it is saved. It's perfectly fine. And now I'm going to close this editor. So I'm going to click on this section in the right top corner. Do not click on this X. Is it okay? If you click on this X, it's going to close the full Cloud Shell. Instead of that, below this X, you have this section. You click on this section and then you click on Close Editor. Okay, or you can just use a shortcut called Control Q. Okay, I'm just going to close the editor, and this step is actually done. So they have asked me to modify this file, and then I save this thing, and then I do Control Q, which is going to close the editor. I'm done with this. Now it's the time I have to write my code for this agent app, and then very basic straightforward code we are going to develop right now. For that, I have to go into the file which is agent.py. So let me just copy this command. I'm going to paste this command here. Now this is something which is a browser issue. Sometimes you paste it here, but it's going to show you here. It's because that Cloud Shell is actually get confused with the editor. But don't worry about that. It's going to work fine. I hit enter. My agent.py file is actually open right now, and it's showing me a couple of commented line sections here. You can see there are a few logical code lines which are actually added here, but with this there are some commented lines also. These commented lines are actually helping you to understand that these are the places where you have to put the code. Like for example, the first commented line here is add references. So maybe this is a place where I have to add references. If you're new to Python development, guys, this is a commented line which is really going to help you. Do not remove it, do not delete it. Let me go back to this, and it's showing me that first thing is I have to focus on one file which is data.txt. Now this is a file which is actually given by the developer in this repository. So if I go to data.txt, this is a file which is actually having some kind of a comma separated values. We have two category and cost kind of columns, and then we have some kind of values like categories, accommodation, transportation, meals, and miscellaneous. And then we have a cost associated with that. Now basically this is nothing but some kind of a travel expense cost which someone has submitted. Now when I have this kind of cost configuration here, this data.txt file is what we are going to use as an input in this particular lab. So this is my file, the data.txt, which is inside the same folder. And why I'm showing you this, because after adding a reference and all, we are going to configure that thing accordingly. Now in my case, they are showing me that you add this references. So I'm going to copy this. I have 3 references inside that, and I'm going to paste it, Control V. Now inside a code editor, Control V will work, but in this command Cloud Shell, it's not going to work, so you have to do right click and paste. Remember that. It's a little tricky thing. If I focus on this add reference section, you can see one thing. I have not removed the comment which was added. I always paste below that, but I do not remove this thing because this is going to help me to take care of the Python indentation. Yes, sometimes people remove this thing and they forget that where exactly they have to take care of the indentation, how many tabs are required from the left side. That's very important part if you want to make sure that your code is going to be working fine all the time. I have selected this thing, add references, and there are 3 references which we're adding: Azure Identity, Azure AI Agents, and Azure AI Agents.model. From each one of them, we are taking certain things. From identity, we are taking default Azure credential. This is basically going to help me to authenticate my request with Azure subscription. And using my credentials, I'll be able to do that thing. Then we have agents client. This is something which is basically going to help me to instantiate an object of this agent client class, and when I create an instance of this class, it's actually going to allow me to create one or more agents with that. So that's an agents client. And then we have a file purpose, code interpreter tool, list sort order, and message role kind of classes. Now, obviously, these classes are going to help me in my writing my code. Like this is something which is a tool specific class. If I'm using only one tool, I'll add that. There are a couple of other tools which are also going to be available in this case, which we are going to see in the coming samples. So this is fine. Few namespace, few references which I have added on the top. Now, the next code. I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to paste it here into connect to agent client. Now remember one thing, when you paste the code this time, it's going to paste that thing with the left align kind of a configuration with this. You have to select this particular code and you have to make sure that it's going to align with this particular commented code. Basically, I have to hit tab and then it's going to align this thing with this, and this is going to be a proper indentation. If you don't do this, your code will not compile successfully. So please take care of this. I hit tab and now it is matching with this line, the whole code, and this is like a perfect thing now. I'm just going to explain this code now. So if you check this code, this is actually focusing on agents client, which is my new variable which I have created. And while associated with this agent client is going to create an instance of the class which is agents client. Now, in order to configure this agents client, if I just show you this here, it has multiple parameters. And to configure this thing, I have created some additional logic here. So if you see right now, I have some operating system.system which is clearing the console, that is fine. Then I have some key value pairs which I have fetched from my environment file. So your project endpoint and your model deployment name is we are taking in this two variables, okay, which are exactly used here. You can see your project endpoint is here, which we are associating here. And then we have some kind of a logic which is trying to read the data from the data.txt. So basically we are trying to get that particular file first in the file path, and then we are going to open that file, and then we are going to read the file line by line, and then we are going to print that data. Using this data variable, we are actually able to see this thing. So when I run this application, the first thing they're going to show me is the file which is having the data, and then after that the same data and the same file path which we are creating here, we are going to use it in the further logic. Also focus on one thing, while creating the agents client instance, I'm passing my endpoint, I'm calling that default Azure credential, which is basically going to ask me to use my credentials to authenticate my request while running the application. And then obviously there are some additional parameters like exclude environmental credential or manage identity kind of credentials. In both of these things, we are specifying true. Now, if you want to authenticate with manage identity or some other configurations with that, you can include them. That is perfectly fine. But as of now, we don't need this thing. This is a simple variable agent client, and this is the most important instance in this particular code, because this agent client variable is the one which is going to help me to invoke other methods, and that's what we are going to do in the further logic. Let me go back to my code sample, and I'm going to copy this next step in which they are saying that upload the data file and create a code interpreter tool. This is the section which I need to find, which is exactly here. Again, I'm going to paste this code. After pasting this code, I'm going to take care of the indentation. 2 tabs this time. And what exactly this code is doing, let's check that thing. This is having one variable called file, which is basically going to take agent client, the same instance which we have created above this, dot files dot upload and poll. And this is basically going to take the file and it's going to use that thing. Which file I'm going to pass? I'm going to pass on from the file path which we have configured already above this, which we discussed. And then we are specifying the purpose of the file is going to be file purpose.agent. Basically, what we are doing right now is we are trying to add this file as the agent file inside that particular code interpreter tool. So I hope you remember, guys, in the previous video when I added code interpreter tool, I have not uploaded any file. This time I'm trying to associate this file with that code interpreter tool actually. And that is the reason first I'm creating this variable called file. And then you can see the ID of this file is what we are passing into my code interpreter tool. Basically, this is through code, you are creating a code interpreter tool and you are adding that, uploading that file inside that. And that is going to be associated with my agent. Also, focus on this, we have a section here which is saying that file purpose dot agents. Now, right now, I'm not getting much IntelliSense here, but when I click on control space, it's showing me that it has an options like how you want to add the file. Is it going to be something as an agents, or it's something which has some other options also inside that? Now, more IntelliSense or better IntelliSense is what you're going to get when you're going to use Visual Studio Code. And that's one of the reasons I suggest that for the next sample onwards. But as of now, this is fine. This is a code interpreter tool now, which is initialized with this file associated with that. And that is stored inside the variable called code interpreter. Next. Now let me copy the next piece of code, which is define the agent that is going to use the code interpreter tool. So code interpreter tool is defined, but now I have to define the agent, and that is something which is done by this code. Logically, guys, in this code first approach, you are actually able to perform the same task which you're doing with Azure AI Foundry portal, but you're doing everything through code. Now, sometimes people ask me, Maruti, which is better? I always say code first is better. Why? Because here you can customize as you want. If you're a developer, if you're a pro code guy, obviously you're going to love this thing instead of just customizing certain things through Azure portal. Second thing is, there are certain things which are not possible in Azure AI Foundry portal when you're developing agent. So yes, there are certain things which can be done only through code. There are a few things like this which I'm going to show you in the coming labs. So remember, code specific development is a perfect one because ultimately you'll be a Superman here. You don't need to worry about limitations of the portal and browser. You have a code and you can do anything with code. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our videos on YouTube and on our website, which is skillset.club. I'm really happy with your comments. I'm really happy with your interactions. Some of you have actually sent me an email also. Some of you have connected a call with me. I'm really happy with the response which I'm getting from this. Still, I want to request you that if possible, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is really going to help us to reach out to more people, and it's also going to help you so that you cannot miss any new updated content which is coming from our side. So thank you so much. Happy learning. Okay, now we are using that agent client again, and using that we are calling a method called create agent. This is a very important method. I want you to remember this thing because every time when we want to create an agent, we'll call this method. This create agent method is actually having multiple parameters. This is a place where I'm specifying which model I'm going to use for this agent, what kind of a name I want to associate with this agent. Like in the previous video, I have created expense agent. In this one, I'm creating data agent. I can give whatever name I want. And then the important part, every agent is going to have instructions. I am specifying that this agent is having an instructions like, you are an AI agent that analyzes the data in the file that has been uploaded. Use the Python to calculate statistics metrics as necessary. So this is going to use this thing. This is a simple instruction which I've given. While creating the agent, I am specifying tools section where actually I'm specifying that this is going to have interpreter.definitions. So it's basically going to have code interpreter, which is this one, dot definitions, whatever we have given with that. And then in the tool resources, we are saying code interpreter dot resources, which is basically going to connect that file with that. So this is going to associate the code interpreter tool with that file, with this agent actually. And finally, this is going to be a call, which is going to create my agent, and that's stored inside this variable called agent. This code is also fine. After this, we should not forget from the previous video that every agent is going to have threads associated with that. So let me just create a thread so that we can take care of our conversations with the user. I'm pasting that code. It's a single one-liner code, which is basically going to use this agent client. It's still going to use the same agent client instance. Using agent client, if I want to create a thread, I'm going to do agent clients.threads.create. And the new thread which is going to be created is going to have a unique ID associated with that. And that thread is going to be stored in this variable called thread, which is as simple like this. Finally, after all these things, we have to put one particular section code to send the prompt to the agent because we want a conversation between user and agent. And that's the reason. Okay, so now we have this while loop, which is actually configured here. And in this while loop, we are going to take a user prompt, which is basically going to mention like enter a prompt or type quit to exit if you want to exit this particular thing, or maybe you can put any particular prompt inside this. Now, remember, this is just a simple logic which we are using because it's a console application which is going to be built right now. Now, if I want to send a prompt to the agent, I have to add a code for this, which is this. Now, what this is going to do is going to take a prompt from the user, and that is a prompt which I want to send to my agent. So basically, we are going to specify again that agent client kind of an instance, .messages.create. So remember, it's a simple, straightforward code. First, we created agent, then we created thread, and now we are creating a messages.create, and it's going to associate with the thread ID. It's going to associate with that user role because we have system and user, two different roles are there. And then we have a content which is going to be nothing but whatever is coming from the user prompt, which is typed by the user in the console. It's as simple like this. We are going to specify one run. Remember, the run was something which was inside the agent. So in the previous video, I have shown you that there is something called a thread logs, in which every agent is going to have multiple runs inside this. When this is going to be executed, this is going to do agent client.runs.create and process, which is basically going to initiate that run, and then it's going to associate with that unique thread ID and agent ID. This is a very important code. If you want to sometime create multiple threads for that agent, then you can use this particular method with that. Now, going to the next piece of code, which is going to check the run status for failure. So if the run status is failed, what exactly we have to do? Basically, some kind of exception handling is what we are trying to do here. And in this case, we are checking if the run status is failed, then you're just going to print the error message which is associated with that, which is quite obvious. And then we want to show the latest response from the agent, because if any particular response which is generated based on the language model, then my agent response also, I want to make it visible here. For that, we are just taking agent client.messages.get last message text by role. And in this case, we are saying that this is going to be taking the last text message for this thread ID, and the message role is going to be agent. So remember, we have user role, which we are using to send the prompt, and we have agent role, which we are using to get the response from that, and that last message is going to be stored in this variable. Now, if this last message is there, we are just going to print that message, which is going to show me that this was the message which was given by that. After this, the next piece of code is getting the conversational history. So when I have multi-turn conversation, if multiple prompts are added from user and you want to display that thing, then this is going to give you a conversational history. How exactly we are doing this thing? But it's simple. We are just running a for loop here. So you can see I'm trying to get all the messages, a list of the messages basically, from that particular thread in the ascending order. And then whatever messages which we are going to get it from that, we are running a for loop in that. If the message text is available inside that, it's going to print that message with this -1 kind of an array association with this. So the last message is going to be visible with that order. And then it's just going to print that message with that. After all these things, the last and the final line of code is here, which is actually going to clean up this. Basically, if I am done with this, I want to just delete the agent. So you're creating the agent and you're deleting the agent also through the code. And if I show you this, this is basically going to do again agent client instance dot delete agent dot agent dot id. Guys, all these methods which we are using in this code with the help of this particular agent client are very important for you. So you can see agent client dot files dot upload and poll, agent clients dot create agent, agent clients dot thread dot create, agent client dot message dot create, agent clients dot run dot create and process. So you're creating thread, you're creating run, you're creating message, and you're also getting the last message. You're also getting, okay, this is a quite common issue with the Cloud Shell actually. So just don't worry. If it is showing you this kind of issue, then you can just reconnect and it's going to open it again. Now my things are here. So it's showing me my agent, which is showing me that agent client dot get last message, and then agent client dot message dot list. So all these things which we have taken with the help of agent client instance, all these methods are very important. As a developer, I suggest you that you please make a note of this method somewhere in your notepad file, because it's going to help you to recall this thing. Okay, so that's a very important thing. Once I'm done with all this, you can see the file is not saved. I'm just going to do Control S to save this file. my cloud session got disconnected in between, so maybe I'm not there in the same folder. So I just have to go into that folder. So let me just scroll up, and I'm going to change the directory to this particular path. So I think let me just copy this section fully and paste it here. Yes, now I'm inside the file, agent.py is there, and I'm already in the folder. So pip install is already done, file changes are already done, code is also something which is done. Next thing which I have to do is I have to just do AZ login. AZ login is basically going to help me to log in into my account. Now I'm just doing AZ login. It is asking me that, okay, if you want to authenticate this particular machine, you go to this URL, which is for device login, and you take this code, which you have to use it there. So I just copied the code. I'm clicking on this link. It's asking me to sign in with my code to allow the access. So I'm just going to paste that code, and I'm going to click on next. This is a device authentication which is happening here, guys. You have to do this thing because it's going to use Azure CLI and other configurations with this. Once this is successfully done, it's going to show you the tenant and the subscription information of yours. So it's going to be visible here, and you can see my subscription, my tenant information is available. It's asking me, do you want to select the subscription with the same one? I'm just going to say yes. So I'm just going to hit enter, and it's going to select the subscription. Okay, now once this is done, AZ login is successfully done. So the next step which we have to do is we have to just run this project. And in order to do that thing, we simply have to do Python agent.py. Remember, guys, up to this point, right now, before I do this execution, if I go to my agents section, and if I check, do I have any agents there? Well, as of now, it's trying to load this. And then if I refresh this thing, it's showing me that by default, there is one agent which is now came up, which is just created automatically before some time. And that is something which is agent 133. This is here. Now, this is not my agent. I'm going to create my agent, which is going to have a name data agent. So don't get confused. Clear the section. And then I'm going to paste this command, python agent.py. When I do this, it's showing me that some .NET environment is something which is missing. Now, this is because maybe that Cloud Shell got terminated in between. So I just have to do pip install configuration again, which is fine. Now, these are all the issues which you're getting because of the Cloud Shell. And that's the reason I said it is advisable that we just configure everything with Visual Studio Code. Okay, I executed this, trying to run code again, and now it is working. You can see it's showing me the file reading, which is happening from data.txt. Now this is a process which is going to create my agent. It's showing me uploaded the data using this agent, which is called data agent, enter a prompt. Now, when I do this thing, let's say I'm going to start with the simple prompt, which is this. What's the category with the highest cost? So let's say I want to put this thing here. I'm just going to paste it. What's the category with the highest cost? If this is successfully able to retrieve the information using the language model, it's going to give me a response with this. Now, I can see this here, data is printed here, that the category with the highest cost is transportation, basically. So it's going to show me that the category with the highest cost is transportation with the cost of 2301. Now, this is something which is a correct answer. Also, observe one thing. Now, if I go back to my agents section in this Azure AI Foundry, data agent is created. And this data agent is created through code, not through portal. Okay. I'm going to select this agent. I'm going to click on my threads. And let me see if I have a new thread also created here. Refresh. Yeah, I got a new thread which got created just at 10:54, just before 1 minute. So this is my thread. I'm going to select this thread and I'm going to click on try in playground. And this is exactly going to show me that same prompt which I've given with the answer. So if I go into this, you can see I started with this. What's the category in the highest with the highest cost? And you can see it's showing me, let's start by analyzing this. Now, all this extra information which is coming here is something which is not visible in the prompt because I'm not printing it. But it's actually showing me all this thing. It's showing me, let's start by analyzing the uploaded file, identifying the format, structure of the data. Then it seems like the file isn't recognizable as Excel file, or might be it has a standard Excel format. It's taking all the thing. But then it's saying, okay, the file is successfully loaded as CSV. So it has actually find out that what kind of a file is this. and then it's showing me that it's a CSV file. It contains two columns, category and cost. So this is whole processing which it has done actually in the background. And now it's showing me the category with the highest cost is transportation with this number, which is visible in that command prompt also. And now you can see it's using which tool for this? Is using code interpreter. So it's using some pandas data frame. You can see import pandas is also happening. I hope you know Python, then you know pandas also. And it's taking that file, it's just attempting to load the file with the generic approach. Then it's finding the category with the highest cost and it's giving me the answer. And this whole process is using how many tools? Is using one tool 3 times. It's using code interpreter tool 3 times inside that for all these things. Okay, this is how it is, and it's amazing. Now going back to this, I'm going to take another one, and I'm just say creating a text-based bar chart showing the cost by the category. So I want to put this thing in this. Let's say if it's generating a chart for me or not. I'm saying creating a text-based bar chart showing a cost by category. And I have 4 categories and the cost associated with this. It's showing me accommodation, transportation, meals, miscellaneous, and you can see it is showing me a text-based bar chart. So this is actually something which is visible in this shell also. Now let's say if I focus here in this particular thread, and if I just go back to the thread logs, it's showing me that first time it all got executed like this. I think this is not refreshed one actually right now. So let me go back to my agents. I'll go to threads. Now this is something which is little painful. Hopefully Microsoft will give a refresh button there very soon. And then I can say try in playground. And now you can see the output which we got, the text-based chart is actually visible here. Now I do not want text-based chart, let's say, and I'm going to change the prompt. So this is giving me text-based chart, which is a bar chart. Now let's say I'm going to say I do not want a text-based chart. So I'm just going to say I'm going to paste it, create a, okay, my keyboard is having something wrong. I don't know what is that. Let me do one thing. Let me paste it here in the separate notepad file. So I'm just going to paste it here. And I'm going to change it that I do not want text-based bar chart. Let's say I want to create a pie chart. I want to create a pie chart showing a cost by category. So let's see if it is showing me a pie chart or not. I'm going to paste this, hitting enter. Now this time when you're using Cloud Shell, this is another limitation of Cloud Shell actually, that when you're using Cloud Shell, it will generate a pie chart, but it's not going to show it to you here. So you can see it's showing me that here is a pie chart showing the cost distribution by category. Each slide represents a percentage of contribution of each category and the total cost. It's showing you all the details with that. But where is the chart? Where is the chart? It's showing me create a pie chart. It's showing me last message. Here is a pie chart showing the cost, but where is the chart? It's not showing you here. If I go to my thread, and now here, if I focus on again agents, and if I go to that particular thread, which is this one, open in playground. Okay, I say create a pie chart showing by category. Now in this case, it's showing me this configuration option, but there is no pie chart which is actually visible here. Okay, now this is something which is a limitation. So sometimes if you want to do this thing, you have to change it accordingly. So I'm just saying use a Python calculator statistic metrics as necessary. And then this is something which was a message. Now let's say I'm going to change this message. And I'm saying that you can generate charts and you can generate charts based on data and user should be able to download it using a link. Now I want a pie chart should be downloadable for me. I set this thing and now I'm going to just this is automatically saved. It's going to change this thing in the code interpreter file, and now I'm going to provide the same thing, that create a pie chart which is going to be cost by category. So I'm just putting it here. I can put it there also. And now let's see. They're saying I have generated a pie chart. Let me save the images so you can download it. So this is like an additional configuration which I've given in the instructions. And you can see this is much better way now. It's showing me that I have a pie chart, which is not only explaining that, it's showing me that image also, which is visible here. And it's showing me accommodation is having 20%, meal is having 8%, and 70% cost is actually transportation. And I got this particular chart generated by, again, a code interpreter tool. So it has actually added a new code for downloading a file and then generating a pie chart with this. Guys, I hope you're able to understand this thing. It's a lengthy video. It's a little complex code, and especially when we are dealing with Cloud Shell, is not that comfortable way. But yeah, this is how it is actually configured here. Now remember, if I quit this, if I just say quit, this is going to be deleting this also. So it's going to show me a full conversational log, which I have done here. It's also showing me the last conversation which I've done in the portal, which is downloading a pie chart kind of a thing. And once this is done, because the application is ended, logically that agent is deleted, because the last section which we have done is delete the agent. So now if I go to agent section, my data agent is gone. It's just having the previous agent which is there. My data agent is actually gone, and that is how it is working. So creation of the agent to deletion of the agent, the whole life cycle of the agent is managed by code. And that's the take home of this video. I hope you understood this, and I'll see you tomorrow with the next video. Also guys, if you have seen this particular video till this end, and you can register to our website, which is skilltech.club. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video with another dose of AI agent.